Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Chaos Dwarves led by Michu facing off against Tzeentch, who's going to be helmed by Anticity here in the battle for Itza. And yeah, we got some funny stuff here. So Anticity coming in with Tzeentch. Apparently Slaanesh was banned in this tournament, so here he is with Tzeentch. And he's going to be finding a way to try and get Slaanesh anyways, which you'll be seeing in just a second. Somebody giving a speech? I think Tzeentch was like barking or growling or something. But anyways, breaking down the army of the Chaos Dwarves, it is going to be a Death Streak Rocket Launcher, which is amazing. And this is a really, really good play by Michu. Knowing that his opponent has the two Soul Grinders, which are a bit of a counter against Chaos Dwarf Artillery in open field, he's going to be moving his Death Streaker behind the trees. And that's a big part of domination, really, is knowing the maps, knowing the terrain. Like there's some maps where things that are normally bad in a matchup can suddenly become good because of a terrain feature, which is always kind of cool to see. On top of that, we have Zoltor. Tzeentch is decent. You know, he's just cheap, and he does have a net, so if Anticity does blunder, he could get netted. Fireglaves, Kadai Fireborn in the bushes, and a Metal Caster with Final Transmutation and Searing Doom on a Lamassu, which I don't hate. The Lamassu mount is pretty good on spell resist, I think. Yeah, 25%. So against some of the Tzeentchian schemes, he's tankier, and he can silence enemy casters. So aside from that, double Soul Grinders from Anticity, really good tech against SEs, and you can already see big damage out of the gates here from the Kraken King against the Demon Smith, and he does have some Doom Knights of Tzeentch in the back, which are often used to dive Chaos Dwarf Artillery, but, you know, Chaos Dwarf players will typically have some sort of shooting at home or, you know, Bull Centaur Render in reserve to guard against such threats. Metal Caster for Anticity as well, with Final Transmutation, and the Changeling, turning into the Mask. So Jim Carrey all up in this game, and, you know, hey, you can ban Slaanesh, but Anticity will find a way. So in the back, we get Infernal Chad Fireglaze being called out, and they are going to be screening out those Doom Knights coming out of the woods there with that ambush. Ent creeping in the shadows here with his Centaurs, or more so in the open. I guess the Fireglaves are more so in the shadows. And we do see these Soul Grinders throwing at the Demon Smith Sorcerer, bringing him down to like 40% already. That's a very, very painful start for the Chaos Dwarves in that regard. Up on the high ground, the Mask getting chased away. Kind of interesting here. The Kadai Fireborn able to screen out both of these units because the Mask is very weak against Fireborn, being infantry-sized and Phys-Res dependent. The Fireborn are going to be able to trade pretty darn well there. So Ent calling out Exalted Flamers, kind of playing that signature Tzeentch kiting style using the big Soul Grinders, kind of was the scourge of the old land battle Tzeentchian days. Well, I mean, I've heard that in the early days of Tzeentch, they were pretty oppressive in land battle with this double Soul Grinders and some of the other spell kite they can do, because again, in a format where you don't really have to attack your opponent as much. You can just kind of skirmish and infinitely recharge your shields. It's pretty nuts, right, as far as factions go. Don't know what it looks like these days, though. Probably not as impressive. Now, nice firepower coming in from the Exalted Flamer, shooting into the Blazing Beards of Basharik, but a bit of a dodge there from Michu. Soul Grinders of Tzeentch are good melee fighters with AP, so they can definitely throw down a little bit. And now in the middle, Ent is going to be using the Mortis Engine? Yeah, the Dance of Dreaming. So, the Mask going to be using Dance of Dreaming on the Goblin Laborers, and the Chaos Dwarf is hanging nearby. Meanwhile, the high ground objective is taken by the Chaos Dwarves as that Exalted Flamer continues cooking. Death Streak Rocket Launcher going to be going after the Exalted Flamer, and are we going to see a net from Tzeentch? Might not be a... Could he follow up, though? I mean, the thing is, if he nets, Anticity maybe calls in like a mobility piece, like a Centaur of Tzeentch, and you don't know how much he has banked in reserve in terms of supply, so that could have gotten a little bit sketchy, right? All right, so right here, we do see ye old Tzeentch the Black getting attacked by the Mask, as well as the Chaos Sorcerer, and this is a classic Ent play. He's trying to bait a Final Transmutation, so he's going to hope the Sorcerer comes in, but Final Transmutation goes both ways. The Demon Smith going to be dropping his, and I would imagine Ent is going to be dropping his as well, and we'll see how this goes. In the backfield, some Wolf Riders do manage to compromise the Soul Grinder, keep that thing locked down, but that Final Transmutation, man, chef's kiss. The Chaos Sorcerer getting freaking blasted right now, and also taking damage from the Skull of Catan. And Anticity's Lord here, the Changeling, is going to be paying the iron price a little bit as it does get hammered by the Demon Smith, and also Zoltor able to hang in there and be nice and tanky. Army ability coming in from Ent, trying to finish off the Demon Smith Sorcerer, and looks like the Mask is going to be disintegrating. Unstable, that is a really, really high value pick. While Michu here also going to be getting a great engagement with the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders in the back, shutting down the Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch and forcing out a Centaur of Tzeentch to counterplay that. So somehow the Mask survives. Very fortunate. That's going to let Anticity stay in the game, because if that had died, probably would have been GG. But he doesn't have the item. That's the one thing about the Changeling is when he transforms into characters, he doesn't get their items. So the Mask doesn't have the ability to heal, which is very fortunate for the Dowie Czar. However, Soul Grinders here, shooting into Zoltan. So it looks like both of these Soul Grinders trying to go there, while the Death Streak Rocket Launcher shooting into the Changeling. In the backfield, Fireglaze moving up, and we do see Chaos Dwarf securing a triple cap. This is one of my favorite aspects of Chaos Dwarf play. Seeing the Infernal Guard Fireglaze just kind of covering large spaces of battlefield. They're hard to shut down, honestly. I mean, some factions, usually infantry swarming them is the best way. Like, getting a Marauder of Tzeentch on top of them would be ideal, but that's easier said than done. Blunderbuss is being called out, so Granite Guard, as well as more Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and now the Dowies are going to be sitting on their 3 objectives here, and just kind of biding their time. While Anticity going to be doing his evil schemes, Soul Grinder and Soul Grinder gathering, while the Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch is just kind of lurking on the high ground as well. Yeah, but the Fireglaves, swarming them with infantry is very cost-effective. Spells like Pit of Shades and those type of things are very good. I think Ent did lose his caster, though. But again, it was mainly focused on Final Transmutation. Yeah, not even bringing Searing Doom. Oh, he actually lived, though. So this man is here, 768 HP. He does have his Protoss shields regenerating, but only 116. The Protoss shields do scale based on the remaining HP of a unit, so the more damaged a Tzeentch unit is, the less shield regeneration it's going to be. So again, like the olden, if we're talking like older formats in like Land Battle, skirmishing, absorbing on shields, running away, recharging shields, re-engaging, that type of stuff is very strong. In Domination, it's still good. Not quite as good, though, because you have a clock against you, since there are contested points here. Fireglaze pushing back the Soul Grinder, and Ent is probably just going to be trying to build up an Alpha Strike and doing his classic envelopment. We can kind of see that, and the Soul Grinder is actually bullying Zoltor. So Zoltor down to 527 HP. He does rally. Best play for the Chaos Dwarves here from Michu would be to just hide him somewhere. Like, run him into the back trees and just lurk and try not to get the leadership penalty on your army. But, I mean, he does have the Sadistic Snare, the net ability, which maybe could help mitigate this. And Ent going to be using the tree line, another way that the train is being used well. The block line of sight. And the Blunderbusses and Granite Guard going to be at the ready. The Death Reeker is 100% going to die. But Chaos Dwarves getting very, very far ahead in points, while the high ground is going to be taken here. And there's the Lamprey's Bite on the Infernal Guard. Doesn't do much against armor, but there goes the Deathstreak Rocket Launcher. Nice pick by the Kraken King here. Looks like there is going to be some sort of witchcraft going down, but Ent's Micro, a little bit too fast and furious here. Homie is going to be able to dodge that, while the Chaos Dwarves do summon in the Demonsmith Sorcerer once again. So his evil brother has come with an even taller hat. Granite Guard on the back here guarding Zoltan. Objectives 2 for Chaos Dwarves, objective 3 for Chaos Dwarves, but Centaurs of Tzeentch on their way out. Probably just park a Fireglaive over here, and that's going to mitigate that threat. And we do see the Changeling and the Sorcerer on the high ground with the 2 Soul Grinders. And that's one dangerous thing for the Chaos Dwarves, is that a lot of Ent's value that the Chaos Dwarves do have is tied up on his SEs. And if they can continue functioning, then, it could be very, it could be dead value, essentially. Granted, getting the mask that low is very, very good. He's going to have to basically walk on eggshells there. Centaurs of Tzeentch coming around the outside. Anticity looks like he's going to be going for a full envelop, which he absolutely loves doing. Fireglave's getting outranged a little bit. It looks like 150, and they have 145, so with very clean micro, they could be outranged by this big boy here. But it looks like the Fireglave's going to be setting up, and we'll be able to rip some shots in a second, but Ent is going to micro away. Obviously, world champion level player, going to be able to get that micro going. On the backside, a good engagement. Granite Guard do get swarmed on by the Centaurs of Tzeentch, and Zoltan does get caught, not before he drops a net on the Centis, which is going to be allowing some Hobgoblins to charge, which is going to be cute. Not going to be too devastating. Another Final Transmutation activated, man. Getting a lot of work in there. And yeah, really, really good Alpha Strike by Anticity. Able to take down, or at least lock down some of the shooting units. Zoltor going to be trying to get away here, as the Searing Doom does go down from the Chaos Sorcerer. Really, really good from the Demonsmith Sorcerer. And Zoltan does get blasted in the face. That's what you get for betraying the Ancestor Gods. You lose your magic res. So the fight rages on. Objective 2 for Chaos Dwarves, objective 3 for Chaos Dwarves. Anticity still diving in the backfield, but it looks like the Lammasu character might be able to clutch it here, although it is taking a lot of damage in the process. The Mask is an obscenely strong fighter. And will the Lammasu get the job done? Sorcerer coming in as well, but a Final Transmutation is cast, and that should get the job done. So we do see the Mask going down, and we do also see the Chaos Sorcerer paying the price there. While the Chaos Dwarves still able to sit with their 2 Infernal Guard Fireglaves and are accruing a decent amount of value and holding on to the objectives. Doom Knights being called in? Nope, going to be Changebringers. Very, very nice. Yeah, Ent's Tzeentch playstyle looks very stressful to play against, honestly. And roasting in, taking down half health off one of those Chaos Dwarf infantry. They're going to start running very, very quickly. Right now, Michu needs to get one of his Infernal Guard Fireglaves, turnabout face, and start chasing the Changebringers. If those things are allowed to do whatever they want, it's going to be a bad time. Wow, double unsummon on the Soul Grinders from Ent. So let's see what kind of a refund he gets. He does go up to 1,700, so he gets about 1,000 refund there. All right, was that the right play? I mean, they're still good fighters, but I guess they're weak against Fireglaive, so he's kind of exchanging them in. It's a very underexplored aspect of domination mode, like the unsummoning, but looking at Ent on the field, he's got like nothing, dog. He's got like these guys, probably going to try and resummon the Mask, I would imagine. We do see infantry swarms coming out, and as somebody who mains Chaos Dwarves, one of the most frustrating things to play against as Chaos Dwarves is just wide infantry swarms, just swarming on your ranged pieces. But again, you can play trains and, Fireborn if you're worried about that. All right, fast forwarding here. Let's see if Ent's going to be able to grind this one back. We do see these ancient infantry coming in on the flank as a couple blunderbusses set up. And in the sky, we do see the Changebringers getting absolutely shellacked here by these Infernal Guard. Really able to hammer them down, actually crumbling them. High ground objective going to be going to the Chaos Dwarves as the Wolf Riders and Fireborn grab that. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't think there's too many comeback modalities for Ent here. It's going to be tricky, although he is tying down a couple of these and does have the Marauder Infantry, which immediately are turning the tide of the fight there. And I guess the Mask is going to be very tricky to deal with as well. So maybe there's a little something. Kadai Fireborn, though, will counter pretty much everything down here. And I don't know where they're going right now, running off into La La Land. But objective number 1 does go to the Dawizar. Objective 2 being held by them as well. The Mask, though, is back and is Mortis Engine draining. A couple Wolf Riders moving in, trying to salvage the Infernal Chad Fireglaves, which do have halberds, so they can chew back against the Shrieking Skyrays, which of course are monstrous. So maybe they'll be able to stabilize that. And Granite Guard do have very high stats. They have 46 melee defense, so in terms of like grinding with trash infantry, they can hold for some time. But the Mask is back in business, only 700-800 value, so the sniping punishment from the Dawizar this game has been very, very effective there. So moving across, the Fireglaves and the Granite Guard and the Wolf Riders trying to hold, but the triple cap situation is going to be very dire for Anticity. I mean, trying to wrestle that off the Fireborn here, and he's still going to be able to hold objective 2 for a long time, even if he starts to lose momentum here in this game. So moving in are the Centaurs of Tzeentch, so they're going to be Space Jam slamming into this position. With the Mortis Engine, maybe we're going to start to see the Chaos Dwarves breaking up here a little bit. A nice charge there from the Centaurs, getting a beautiful hammer down on those bad boys, so the Fireglaves are paying the price. And to the back, a couple Fireglaves do rally, shooting into what appears to be the Changeling in the middle. And now we get a Demon's Tongue. A good choice, weak against Centaurs, but good against everything else here. The Iron Demon will be able to, it's just regular Iron Demon, not the Demon's Tongue. But it will be able to roll over the Mask very, very effectively, especially if you brought it. Yeah, you should always, in my opinion, pay the extra 200 gold on Iron Demons to get the magic damage and the Perfect Vigor. Perfect Vigor is very, very good. The magic damage, especially against each, can be pretty relevant against like blues and pinks. So here it comes. Choo Choo Train is in full effect, and I love these things. I use 2 of them in my tabletop dwarf list, my tabletop list for Chaos Dwarves. Usually carry the games. I think they're toughness 7 with like tons of wounds. Absolute great bosses. I don't think there's any way for Ent to really win. With the Fireborn coming down and an Iron Demon on the battlefield now, probably going to be a tap out here relatively soon. Yeah, Ent knows when it's over. And great performance from both sides, honestly. The Chaos Dwarves pulled a massive lead out of the gates. Really just hammering a lot of Anticity's tools and, sniping the Mask. I mean, huge. But Anticity, of course, being the champ level player he is, was able to scrap back and make it a good contested game in the 4th quarter, which is very, very fun. But yeah, very well played to meet you, man. I love seeing Chaos Dwarves doing well, and, taking a game off Ent, even if he's trying out some wacky stuff, is still a big accomplishment. So shout out to you there. That was very, very good. And let's look at the value here. So the Mask didn't do so well. Centaurs did good. Sorcerer obviously did well. Soul Grinders, they didn't have a good time. In theory, they're good in this matchup, though, because they can counter the Demon Trains and the Artillery, but that terrain usage was very, very clean by the Chaos Dwarf player. Really like that. All right, guys. See you around. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and hash it bless. That's it. Cheers.